Why does one woman stand by you through hell and back, while another walks away the second things get tough? It's not luck, it's not fate, and it's definitely not random. It comes down to something most men never learn to spot until it's already too late. See, a loyal woman makes daily choices that protect what you've built together. A disloyal one? She's already looking for the exit before you even notice the cracks. And here's the brutal part. Most guys can't see the difference until the damage is done. But you're not going to be one of them. Today, I'm breaking down 7 psychological patterns that separate women who stay loyal from those who don't. And trust me, once you understand these, you'll never be blindsided again. Let's dive into the first one, and it's probably not what you think. 7. Shocking differences between loyal women and disloyal ones. Female psychology, opening hook. 0:30. Why does one woman stand by you through hell and back, while another walks away the second things get tough? It's not luck, it's not fate, and it's definitely not random. It comes down to something most men never learn to spot until it's already too late. See, a loyal woman makes daily choices that protect what you've built together. A disloyal one? She's already looking for the exit before you even notice the cracks. And here's the brutal part. Most guys can't see the difference until the damage is done. But you're not going to be one of them. Today, I'm breaking down 7 psychological patterns that separate women who stay loyal from those who don't. And trust me, once you understand these, you'll never be blindsided again. Let's dive into the first one, and it's probably not what you think. Sign number 1, emotional accountability, 0:30 to 45. Number 1. Notice how she handles emotional accountability. This is where everything starts to unravel. A disloyal woman, she'll never own her mistakes, ever. Every argument becomes your fault. Every problem in the relationship somehow traces back to something you did wrong. She'll blame you for being boring, for not giving enough attention, for working too hard, or not hard enough. And here's the trap most men fall into. They believe it. They start carrying the entire emotional weight of the relationship, thinking if they just do more, give more, be more, things will magically fix themselves. But that's exactly what she wants, because while you're drowning in guilt, she's walking around guilt-free. Now compare that to a loyal woman. She faces the same frustrations, the same temptations, but she has something the other doesn't: self-discipline. She doesn't run from uncomfortable conversations. She doesn't let resentment build up in silence. Instead, she says, "Hey, this is bothering me. Let's talk about it." That difference might seem small, but it's everything. One woman blames, the other owns her part. One destroys trust by avoiding responsibility. The other builds respect through honesty. Picture this: you're constantly apologizing for things you didn't even do. Over time, that crushes your confidence. You stop trusting your own instincts because she's convinced you that you're always the problem. So here's your litmus test. When she's upset, does she deflect or does she reflect? Does she twist every situation to make you the villain, or does she own her role in it? This is where everything starts to unravel. A disloyal woman, she'll never own her mistakes, ever. Every argument becomes your fault. Every problem in the relationship somehow traces back to something you did wrong. She'll blame you for being boring, for not giving enough attention, for working too hard, or not hard enough. And here's the trap most men fall into. They believe it. They start carrying the entire emotional weight of the relationship, thinking if they just do more, give more, be more, things will magically fix themselves. But that's exactly what she wants, because while you're drowning in guilt, she's walking around guilt-free. Now compare that to a loyal woman. She faces the same frustrations, the same temptations, but she has something the other doesn't: self-discipline. She doesn't run from uncomfortable conversations. She doesn't let resentment build up in silence. Instead, she says, "Hey, this is bothering me. Let's talk about it." That difference might seem small, but it's everything. One woman blames, the other owns her part. One destroys trust by avoiding responsibility. The other builds respect through honesty. Picture this: you're constantly apologizing for things you didn't even do. Over time, that crushes your confidence. You stop trusting your own instincts because she's convinced you that you're always the problem. So here's your litmus test. When she's upset, does she deflect or does she reflect? Does she twist every situation to make you the villain, or does she own her role in it? Emotional accountability isn't just a nice trait. It's the bedrock of loyalty. A woman who refuses to hold herself accountable is already halfway out the door. You just haven't realized it yet. A disloyal woman doesn't just wake up one day and leave. No, she fades away slowly. She goes quiet in conversations, avoids eye contact, starts spending hours on her phone with just friends. She laughs with everyone else but goes silent around you. You feel her physically there, but mentally, she's already gone. And here's the worst part. Most men sense it but ignore it. They tell themselves she's just tired, just stressed, just going through something. But deep down, they feel it. That coldness, that distance, the way she no longer leans in when you talk. These aren't mood swings. They're warning signs. A loyal woman doesn't disappear when tension rises. She faces it head on. Even when the conversation is uncomfortable, even when it stings, she sits down and says, "Something feels off. Let's figure this out." She doesn't hide behind silence because she knows silence kills relationships. Her loyalty isn't about being perfect. It's about having the courage to stay present when things get hard. Now picture the guy who ignores the red flags. He keeps hoping she'll come back to the way she used to be. He waits for that warmth to return. But instead of honesty, all he gets is more distance. That kind of emotional abandonment. It's one of the most painful betrayals because you're still there fighting while she's already mentally checked out. So ask yourself, when she's unhappy, does she disappear into cold silence? Or does she bring it to the table? Does she pull away like a ghost, or does she lean in to work through it? That answer tells you whether you're building trust or waiting for the inevitable collapse. If this is hitting home, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button right now, because what's coming next is going to blow your mind. We're just getting started. Every woman tests a man at some point. That's just human nature. But here's the key. Why is she testing you? A disloyal woman doesn't test to build connection. She tests to manipulate. She loves the chaos. She'll compliment another guy right in front of you. She'll compare you to her ex. She'll poke at your insecurities just to see if you'll snap. Then she sits back and watches. If you explode, she loses respect. If you stay quiet and take it, she still loses respect. It's a rigged game. You can't win because the goal isn't love, it's power. A loyal woman might test you too, but her tests come from vulnerability, not destruction. She might ask, "Do you still think I'm beautiful?" Or, "I feel like we don't spend time like we used to." She's not trying to tear you down. She's asking for reassurance. That's the difference most men miss. The real danger isn't just the conflict in the moment. It's what happens to your identity over time. When you tolerate constant devaluation, when you accept being compared to other men, you're unconsciously giving her permission to keep chipping away at you. Eventually, you don't even recognize yourself. Think about it. A woman who truly respects you will challenge you to grow, but never in a way that humiliates you. A woman planning to betray will provoke until you break, because breaking you is how she stays in control. So here's the question. Are her tests coming from insecurity or manipulation? From a desire to feel closer or a hunger for chaos? That answer will tell you exactly where your relationship is headed. A disloyal woman never gives you the full story. Her history is full of vague explanations and edited versions. Ask her about an ex? It was complicated. Push for more details? That's in the past. It doesn't matter. But here's the truth. It always matters. Because patterns repeat. If she never learned from her mistakes, she's going to carry them straight into your relationship. A loyal woman doesn't need to paint herself as perfect. She owns her scars. She'll tell you where she messed up, what she learned, and how she's changed. Her honesty might sting a little, but it's real. She doesn't hide behind denial because she knows growth only comes from facing the mess. Now imagine finding out too late that the friend she always talked about was actually an ex she never let go of. Or realizing that every relationship in her past ended the same way, with her as the victim and everyone else as the villain. That's not coincidence. That's a cycle. Men who ignore these red flags often wake up to a painful realization. They weren't chosen for love. They were just the next character in her repeated drama. When you pay attention, the signs are always there. A woman who hides, evades, or changes her story, depending on who's asking, is revealing more than she thinks. The real question isn't just, what happened before me? It's, what did she learn from it? Because a woman who refuses to face her past doesn't rewrite her story. She just relives it with a new leading man. For a disloyal woman, Flirting isn't harmless fun. It's her social currency. She flirts at work, on Instagram, at the gym, at the bar. It's how she feeds her ego. She thrives on the looks, the attention, the validation. And here's the brutal truth: she doesn't stop when she's in a relationship. Sometimes she doubles down, using you as proof of her desirability to other men. A loyal woman sees flirting differently. She knows that every glance, every playful comment, every innocent laugh carries weight. She values discretion because she respects the trust you've built. That doesn't mean she's invisible, it means she's intentional. Now picture this: you're standing right next to her, and she's giggling with another guy, leaning in just a little too close. You feel that knot in your chest. But when you bring it up, relax, I'm just being friendly. That's not friendliness, that's disrespect disguised as charm. Men often confuse charisma with loyalty. They think a woman who craves constant male attention is just social. But there's a razor-thin line between being social and being on the market. A woman who is truly loyal will never make you question where her loyalty lies. Flirting isn't always cheating, but it opens doors that should stay closed. And a woman who treats it as a lifestyle is always testing the market, even when she claims she's committed. If you're getting value from this, smash that like button and drop a comment saying, "I see it now." Let me know you're paying attention. And stick around, because the next two signs are game changers. A disloyal woman loves to wave the freedom flag, but not because she values independence. She wants a shield to hide behind. She'll say things like, "I don't owe anyone an explanation," or "I'm free to do whatever I want." On the surface, it sounds confident. In reality, it's just a loophole. It's her way of justifying disappearing for hours, messaging other guys, posting provocative photos, and then flipping the script when you ask about it. Suddenly, you're the problem. You're jealous, insecure, controlling. A loyal woman values freedom too, but she understands that real freedom comes with responsibility. She knows being in a relationship doesn't mean being trapped. It means being committed. Her independence is steady, not reckless. Now, imagine being called controlling just because you asked for basic respect. You're not demanding ownership, you're setting a boundary. But if she twists that into weakness, you start doubting yourself. You walk on eggshells, afraid to be labeled insecure while she keeps pushing limits. True freedom builds connection. It says, "I choose to be with you, and I don't need to test boundaries to prove it." Fake freedom tears it down. It hides shady behavior behind a mask of independence. So when she talks about freedom, listen carefully. Is she using it as an excuse to avoid accountability? Or does she see freedom as a way to strengthen the bond? That answer reveals whether she's building trust or quietly dismantling it. A disloyal woman can't handle emotional pressure. When tension rises, she doesn't step forward, she steps away. She shuts down, disappears, avoids the hard conversations. Sometimes she's physically there but emotionally absent. Cold, indifferent, numb. That silence isn't peace, it's punishment. A loyal woman doesn't vanish when things get hard. She may not like conflict, but she respects it as part of real love. She'll argue, she'll cry, she'll say what hurts, but she stays because she knows leaving the table doesn't solve anything. Now let's add another layer: how she responds to compliments. A disloyal woman craves them like oxygen. Every like, every DM, every stare across the room fuels her ego. She depends on male validation the way an addict depends on their next fix. If you don't praise her enough, she resents you, and that hunger doesn't stop. It grows until she looks for it elsewhere. Compare that to a loyal woman. Sure, she appreciates compliments, but they don't define her. She doesn't need 100 strangers telling her she's beautiful to feel secure. Her calm energy doesn't shift based on who's watching. Think about the damage when both conflict and validation become weapons. When she runs from every argument and feeds off outside praise, a man slowly loses himself. He questions his role, his value, even his sanity. So pay attention to these two windows: conflict and compliments. They reveal more about her loyalty than 1,000 promises ever could. Now let's go beyond just recognizing the signs. Let's talk about your strategy as a man. Knowledge without action is useless. Too many men see the red flags, feel the distance, and still choose silence. They convince themselves it'll change, that she'll come back around, that love alone will fix it. But silence doesn't protect you. It weakens you. Here's your game plan. First, Set boundaries early and clearly. If she dodges responsibility, call it out. If she flirts for attention, don't laugh it off. Address it. Boundaries aren't about control, they're about self respect. A woman who values you will respect those lines. A woman who doesn't will fight them, twist them, or shame you for having them. That reaction tells you everything. Second, focus on patterns, not promises. Anyone can promise loyalty, but behavior reveals truth. Watch what she does when pressure rises, how she treats your presence, how she explains her past. Patterns are more honest than intentions. Third, stop carrying the relationship alone. If you're the only one working, the only one fighting for stability, you're not in a partnership, you're in captivity. And the longer you stay, the more you shrink. Finally, accept this truth. You cannot control loyalty. That choice is hers. What you can control is how quickly you recognize the warning signs and how firmly you protect your dignity. That's the difference between being drained for years and walking away with your self-respect intact. You've seen it clearly now. The differences between a woman who stays and a woman who strays aren't hidden. They're in plain sight, written into how she handles responsibility, distance, tests, her past, flirting, freedom, conflict, and validation. None of these are small details. They're the foundation on which loyalty or betrayal is built. The danger isn't that these signs don't exist. The danger is that most men refuse to see them until it's too late. Here's the truth. You can't stop a woman from making her choice. Loyalty can't be demanded. But what you can do is sharpen your vision, strengthen your boundaries, and refuse to carry a relationship built on excuses and manipulation. That's not control. That's self-respect. So I'll ask you directly, are you going to ignore what you just learned, or are you going to use it as armor? The difference between years of wasted time and a future of strength starts with that choice. If this video opened your eyes, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with another man who needs to hear this before it's too late. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment with the words, "Now I see clearly," so I know you're part of the men who refuse to walk blind anymore. And remember this, you may never control who a woman decides to be, but you can always control how you respond. That control, that calm, unshakable awareness is the real freedom of a man. And I'll see you in the next one.